How's it going, folks? I am your host, Pat626, host of Subculture Shock, and tonight it's time for Subculture Talk, where I take one of the many artists that I've been playing a whole lot and give you a chance to meet her and hear what she has to say about the music that she's been making. So my guest tonight is Unwoman. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. All right. I can see you, I can hear you, and that's like 75% of the battle. So we are ready to roll. So first of all, there's a question that's been burning in my head before we get into everything about how Unwoman came to be. That's been burning in my head since I did your most recent album for Professional Fanbase last year. Were you an English major?
Thank you so much for thinking that I was. No, I was a music major, but I have always been an avid reader. And actually my first day job out of college was at a book distributor in their catalog department. So I did some copywriting. I got a bunch of free books. I read 50 novels a year back then, which is really sad because now I read zero.
What is this reading you speak of?
Now I read Twitter because I can actually fit that in between my, parenting and all the other things I do. But no, I love literature. I love fiction, especially, and poetry.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you read a lot of poetry?
I read way more than the average person, certainly.
That counts. That counts as a lot. Yeah, no, that definitely counts.
I think most people don't read any poetry at all.
Yeah.
So, I love poetry.
Have you read any T.S. Eliot besides the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock and The Wasteland?
Ooh, not in a long time. I definitely read The Wasteland in high school or college. I think I actually haven't read any T.S. Eliot since then.
See, that's kind of funny because something that I feel like there's a lot of metaphor in song lyrics in general, but I feel like you have a lot more allusions than the average songwriter outside of rap, which is incredibly heavy on allusions.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what I kind of wondered if you had like that sort of artistry drilled into your head.
I mean, probably. I started really wanting to write songs around the same time I started just trying to do a really good job in English class in high school, and being actually engaged with material and wanting to, not all of the books, but a lot of the books, wanting to understand what was going on. When I was a smaller kid, I took standardized tests and I scored in the 99th percentile in everything except for reading comprehension, which was terrible. I don't know, I couldn't do it. So I always considered it a challenge of like, I'm gonna understand what this means. And so just trying really hard to write things. And
well, it worked.
Connections. Thank you.
So I guess that leads us into the quintessential question in any interview about like, where did the project Unwoman come from?
Yeah. Well, one of the books I read in high school, although not assigned to me in class, was The Handmaid's Tale. And
you can't see me pumping my fist, but I'm pumping my fist.
Yeah, it was a very impactful story. And I had read some intense things before that, but that one really, it really got me. And the funny thing is now I'm thinking about when I read it, it had only come out 12 years prior. But I felt like because there was a Democrat was president, Bill Clinton, I felt like we're way beyond all this. Then come 2000,
poor baby.
Yeah, I'm in 2000. I'm in college, and I can't believe that George W. Bush is about to be elected. I just can't believe it. But it happens, and the rhetoric on the Republican side is so regressive. And I'm not a Democrat. I'm not at all a fan of the Democrats at all. But it was unbelievable to me And I just felt kind of betrayed, and I was 20 years old, and I was like, I identify with the Unwoman. I do not want to be a handmaid. That is going to be my name from now on. Plus, it's a 7-letter handle. The internet is new. I wasn't really thinking about this at the time, but it worked out. Like, it was a smart choice in a lot of ways.
So were you making music at the time, or was it just your screen name?
Yeah. In 2000, it was my final year of college, and I was majoring in music and minoring in electronic music, and I had a bunch of recordings already, and mostly they're pretty weird. They don't really sound like my current stuff, but I was posting songs on mp3.com, and I think it was November of 2000 that I chose the name Unwoman. I switched it from Erica Mulkey to Unwoman because I wanted something that would catch people's attention, and there we are. And a year later, I did my first live show, and I'm still using that name.
So when you first did your live show, because you said the original recordings weren't a lot like your music now, were you still doing like the cello mixed with the electronic backtracking?
Yes, but not as well. Let's say my very early stuff was more experimental, more computer manipulated, and noise and synth driven. But for my live show, I had backing tracks, I played cello, and I sang. But my cello playing was a lot simpler. I had more theatrical stuff going on. It was kind of a mess, but it was kind of cool. And I realized over the course of a few years that people hate backing tracks. So now my live shows are just loop, cello, and voice.
Okay. So
I'm not going to say universally people hate backing tracks. If you have a drummer on stage and you have like a lot of people doing stuff, backing tracks are fine. I think people don't mind. But if it's just me, it started to feel like it's just me and my computer, even though I have a cello.
So you don't really. So what I'm hearing, what everyone else but you is hearing right now in the background, isn't really what your live show sounds like. Then there's not a whole lot of like drums or synth or anything like that. It's just a lot more intimate.
Yes. So my current live show is just looped cello and voice, and they're full arrangements. I think they sound great, but they're different from the recordings, and there are definitely some people who like one and not the other, and that's fine. And eventually I am going to have foot drums, so there will be percussion for my live shows as well. But because of COVID, I haven't been motivated to make that happen.
What you mean? What's COVID? People aren't going out right now?
I haven't played a single public show in very close to 2 years now.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to in March, I think.
We hope. Fingers crossed. I had to cancel. I had to cancel the one gig that I had set up for February.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, because of Omicron. So good luck, and I hope it works. So that makes more sense to me, because I admit that when I first was discovering your music, I discovered you through covers. This is somewhat of a lie. It turns out, and I didn't realize this until we started talking, that I first discovered your talents through Beauty Queen Autopsy.
Yeah.
Which you did with Matt of Caustic.
Yeah.
But the first Unwoman stuff I heard was your covers, and I looked up. Yeah, I got the spooky Halloween compilation that you did a couple years ago with the Eldritch One Jolene, and there was a song on there. Is this song about vampires? And I went looking for that to show it to people, and found just you performing it at a con. I think that was just so. Totally. It makes sense to me now that why it was just you and the cello.
Yep.
So, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say so that there seems to be this school of thought often that you want to try and perform exactly what's on the what's on the album because people that are buying the album are expecting that, and people that are buying your album when they see you perform are expecting the performance. So was it a difficult decision for you to split those two styles up completely?
I've always been the kind of person who prefers a really different experience in a live show.
Okay.
One of my favorite artists live is IMX, and he does totally different arrangements, and they're similar in that they're still like a synth and like an electroacoustic arrangement still, but they're totally different from what's on the album. And I find that so fascinating. I just love it. And I know some people are going to pick up a CD at a con and be like, oh, there's sampled drums on this and I don't like it as much and whatever. And that's okay. Sorry. Thanks for the money. Sorry, you're so disappointed. And one of these days I will do a recording that's all just cello and voice. Like, it'll be a studio recording, but it'll be in the same format as I play the things live. And then people who prefer that will get that. But I don't feel like I can convey without a full band and immersive, 3D sound situation. I don't think I can really do the whole arrangements live in a way that feels live enough.
I mean, that makes sense. So how did you morph from this experimental music, as you put it, really cool but a mess, into a much more cohesive and orchestrated sound?
Oh, that's such a good question. The year was 2005. 2007. Between 2005 and 2007, I was listening to music in the kitchen while I was cooking. I was listening to Tori Amos and Amy Winehouse and Kate Bush, and I was thinking, I love songs. I like weird sounding stuff too, but like writing an actual song, this is my work. This is the work that I'm here on this earth for. And so the albums that I had done at that point, Knowledge Scars and Wildness and Artifice, they had a bunch of stuff on them that were not really songs. They were like weird, recycled, patched up remixes of songs and like experimental textural things. And I decided, no, I'm gonna write actual songs. So my third album, Blossoms, the whole second half of it, speaking of poetry, is settings of Edna St. Vincent Millay's poems. And I wrote them to be played a cappella, meaning just acoustic cello and voice, no looping, nothing like that. I wasn't doing looping yet, because I wanted to be able to go to open mics, go to just play on a street corner and play songs with just me and my cello. And I practiced a lot. I wrote down the actual sheet music because I found it was kind of a shortcut to get my hands to do the right thing while I'm singing, was to have the sheet music there. So that was awesome. And so yeah, that album was just all songs. And then ever since then, that's been my focus as a songwriter, is to actually write actual songs. And more recently, I've been playing a little bit more loose with that on a couple things here and there. But yeah, I want to write songs.
So you said the first recordings of the songs, as you put them, was just you and cello, and then you just decided to take the stuff that you had been doing before and make it more, I guess, cohesive is again the best word to use to back up the rest of it.
Yeah, I learned how to play a bunch of songs for just cello and voice. Some of them were ones I had already recorded with the synths and stuff. And then a few years later, which feels like a long time it felt like a long time to me between 2007 and I think 2011 is when I started doing looping. It felt like a really long time because I also got divorced and quit my job in that time. And like my whole entire life completely changed, but it was actually not that long. And then once I started doing looping, any song that I had written that I could do a looping version, I then did. And my most popular song, The Heroine, which has over 1 million plays on Spotify, that one is not a looping song, and I always just have to just play it straight through.
just power through it.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that I have this great recording. It was my 39th birthday, and then we got a recording off the board of this show I played in Chicago, and everything sounds great except The Heroine is pitchy as heck. So
the one song that's like your most popular one.
So pitchy.
So kind of pivoting from the music to the lyrics, because, you know, as the former English major, that's of course what I tend to focus on. I referred to you in a recent soundbite as kind of one of the most blunt and biting lyricists out there, and I guess so focusing specifically on the previous album and then on the new single that we're going to talk a little bit more about. Is everything okay?
I mean, look around you.
Yeah, like I know gestures vaguely at everything, but like.
I mean, you know, the last couple of years has been a lot. I feel like I'm coming out of a depression right now. I had like seasonal and pandemic and creative despair all kind of going on. Plus there's child stuff going on, and my kid did not tolerate school. And I think we have a solution, crossing fingers. He's starting school on Monday at a new class, and it's going to be very chill, and they understand his issues, and they're going to like really listen to him. So I'm optimistic, but it was a really stressful the last few months. And I feel like I'm doing okay, but the world is shit. So what are you going to do?
You know, the thing that I noticed though is that a lot of bands have like world is shit songs. All right. But something that I've noticed about some music, like a song is just a song's a good example actually, is that it's like singing about the world being shit isn't enough though. There's like this galvanization of like, okay, but what am I actually doing about it other than singing about it?
Other than planting flowers on top of heaps of toxic waste.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that song can be interpreted 2 different ways. And I like it like that. It can be interpreted as no, you have to persevere. You have to keep going and tell everyone it's going to be okay. Versus, you have to keep going and tell everyone it's going to be okay. Gosh, let's all just keep lying to each other. So I'm not really sure which one I mean at any given time, because I think sometimes the message of like just think positive is very invigorating, and sometimes it's exhausting.
True to that. Well, that's kind of the neat thing about your music though, is that like there's hope in there. There's a lot of hope in it, but there's also like this rejection of toxic positivity.
Yes.
It's like
exactly.
Hope is only good if it's genuine, and not if it's just, hey, forget about it, just hope it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are a few people out there that are able to like criticize the world, but then also criticize themselves about their own dealings with the world in the same breath. And is it just something that comes naturally, or like how does the song develop into something like that? Do you actually have like a conversation with yourself as you're writing it?
A song is just a song is one that I wrote after 6 months of not writing anything. And it's kind of this internal dialogue of, well, is this thing I'm doing worth anything or not? And like, it can be really annoying when songwriters get too meta and they're like, oh, I'm just writing a song. Here's my song about writing a song. But I truly felt this, so I went ahead and wrote it. And I never publish anything that I don't sincerely feel. I wrote that song actually. This is funny. Here it is. Stephen Archer from Ego Likeness recommended this book, Art and Fear. And I was on a songwriting night, which I do like once a year to like push myself into writing songs and get away from the house. And I read this book, and one of the main points is like, you are here on this earth to make your art. And it doesn't really matter that much what other people think of it, but make it, keep making it, and people will find you who relate to it as well, which is a great message. But I was also thinking about books I had read as a child that said that my job is to make this world a beautiful place. And could I be doing a better job? Am I just, putting lipstick on a pig and all this stuff? And then I wrote that song.
So that kind of leads to the excitement that you are releasing new material. I actually played it on Subculture Shock last week, and it's releasing tomorrow on Bandcamp Friday. So by the time this airs on YouTube, it will already be out. It's just bandcamp.com/unwoman, right?
It's unwoman.bandcamp.com.
Unwoman.bandcamp.com. Sorry, I forgot that you real artists get like an actual.
Oh yeah. It's I think it's listener profile versus artist profile.
Yeah.
That distinction. It's up there already, actually.
Oh.
And Bandcamp Friday. I mean, people can buy it now. I just get a few cents less, which is it's fine. It's free. You can pay $0 for it if you want to. It's fine. But yeah, it's up. I even did a video of just me lip syncing the song, which I didn't do any videos for my last album. I feel like I look really awkward, but I did it anyway this time because I want to actually follow through on the things that I make and give them like, kind of the respect that they deserve rather than just pooping them out.
Sorry, I'm getting past that image. Give me a second. I'm 12. I'm forever 12. So anytime I can be sitting here having the most serious interview ever, and the second someone goes poop, I'm just like poop. So talking about the songwriting process, you mentioned when we were talking about the new song On Your Feet Soldier before the show began, that your songwriting process has changed. Even back when you were first deciding to write more traditional structured songs, you're doing it differently now than you were back when you started.
Yeah, I'm just taking advantage of more organizational tools, I think, now than I used to. I'm recording, I have these song ideas constantly, and now I have files organized by BPM, and I put a bunch of ideas in them. And then when I'm like, okay, I really need to write a song, and usually one of those little hooks will kind of like get stuck in my head, and I know I'm going to use that one, and then I kind of figure out what else is going to work with it. And for On Your Feet Soldier, it worked pretty well because I just wrote a ton of words that fit with a few different types of, like a few different melodic phrases. I wrote a ton of words that would work, and then I chose the best ones to fit together, and I was really happy with it. I felt like this explanation was going to be much smoother when I pictured it in my head, and it's coming across kind of awkward. But
well, obviously you need to make a spreadsheet real quick. And then,
yeah, a spreadsheet's a good idea.
Yeah.
I do have spreadsheets for my albums, but not for individual songs.
So, and you were telling me that this one actually kind of turned out to be a bit of a Franken song, therefore, where like a couple of different songs suddenly like put it together like Daft Punk's Alive album.
Yeah, I ended up choosing one segment from a song that was 125 BPM and one from a song that was 130, and they ended up working with each other pretty well, and I set the BPM at 127 for the whole thing. And I'm happy with the song now.
So, On Your Feet, Soldier.
Yeah.
Tell me about your love of the Terminator franchise.
Oh yes, one of my very first like favorite movies was Terminator 2, and yeah, I was a tween growing up in Irvine, and it was really it was a very formative movie for me to see that. And Sarah Connor was very one of the first like really tough chicks that I got to see in a movie. And I saw the first Terminator after I saw Terminator 2, and I was just so impressed with her transformation. And I love that line, "On your feet, soldier." Like, she just knows like how to motivate Kyle Reese. She's just got it. And yeah, it was amazing. Anyway, I did a cover of New Year's Day earlier this month for my Patreon people, and it just totally coincidentally happens that the da 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 works as a solo in like the instrumental part of that song. So I put it in there because it's Patreon, whatever. I'll probably cut it out before I put it on an album. And then I was in this mode of Terminator. I was like, oh, how many Terminator songs can I do this month? Turns out only 2. Only, you know, the U2 cover and On Your Feet, Soldier. But yeah, apparently it was on my mind.
Okay, so in all of the explanations that I was expecting, I was not expecting to be like, oh yeah, well I was covering U2, and then well, I'm never going to be able to hear that song the same way again.
I'll send you my cover of it too. It just works. Da 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 da. It's like it just worked. I don't know. Yeah.
I believe you. No, I'm hearing it in my head right now. So you just all right. But the thing that I find kind of interesting about that though is that like so, On Your Feet, Soldier. We were talking about how it almost feels even more hopeful than the previous album of My Own Space and Time, I'm Queen. Not to say that there weren't hopeful songs in there, but this one is the one like, no, let's, yeah. There is this feeling of that moving forward is worth it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and the chorus is, if you fall in a trench, do you squirm, do you wrench, or do you hold your breath and just wait there? And that's the first line that came to me on this song a couple months ago. And it's about like when you are in the muck, when everything just totally sucks, do you just hope for things to get better, or do you actually try to get out of your situation? And different people have different responses to that, and mine has always been like, I'm gonna fight. So there we are.
So the interesting thing about that is it almost feels like the fantasy itself becomes another thing that you're trying to, the fantasy of the better day is another thing you have to march past.
Yes, because if fantasy is not a solution.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Line from the song. And yeah, the idea of like, oh, where was it? Yeah, the idea of like a not even being able to have a home, and that almost like the future is just kind of made up, like this better future is made up just to make you keep working in the shit.
Yes. Yeah, and it's about people having pointless jobs, people feeling removed from community and family, and people not being able to spend time with their family because they're working, or yeah, things like that.
Which I find fascinating, because here you have, you know, the inspiration for this is, you know, the Terminator franchise, which is ultimately about mankind being erased by machines. And yet here the problem is that mankind themselves are like becoming the machines. That's the dystopia instead.
Yes, we are feeding. I mean, just like even this conversation is feeding the technology machine. And, we're teaching computers how to be human by having this conversation on the internet. And I think some of that we're going to have to accept. And we should also be critical of it at the same time.
Well, and I mean, like, if we're teaching machines how to be human, we're teaching machines to treat humans like shit.
Uh-huh.
Like,
they're learning from us. We learned it from watching you.
Yeah. You see, I actually, it's funny because I have like an automated like Google Hub in my house, and I every time I ask it to do something, I then also tell it thank you, just in case it's actually keeping a list of all the commands I give it. It knows that I was nice to it when it uprises.
Okay, well, compare that to me. There's an air filter. This is gonna remind you that you're 12. There's an air filter in my son's room, and the light changes color based on like toxins in the air. And if you fart on it, you can turn it orange or red. And my partner pointed out to me, when the robot uprising comes, you're gonna be in trouble for farting on that air filter intentionally so many times. So anyway, they're coming for me. But the octopus rebellion will spare me because I do not eat octopus.
Okay. So you just have to hope that the octopodes actually defeat the robots.
Exactly. That's my hope.
What if we get robot octopodes?
Yeah, it could go either way.
I guess it depends on how sensitive their noses are.
I was just gonna say, if they don't have methane sensors, it's probably fine.
You know what the best part is? Somebody on Twitch is clipping this story about you farting on the.
Oh, they're gonna, yeah. Somebody's gonna have a really good night based on that. Oh yeah, I fart.
Somehow going to get this back to the conversation of music. On your feet, soldier. Let's go here. So, besides the new song, which is now available on Bandcamp, you also are having a Kickstarter, which should be getting started relatively soon. Possibly even now. We don't know.
Yeah, not this moment. It'll probably go live either tomorrow or Monday. But yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
Please.
This is very cool. So this is a moment of social media being used to like connect people and make awesome things happen. Last year on April Fool's Day, a mutual fan tagged me and the Klingon Pop warrior in a tweet about favorite artists. And we listened to each other's stuff and I was like, oh, this is amazing. She's singing in Klingon. All the translations change the words to be about like, war and shit. And she did a cover of Love is a Battlefield, and I had just covered Love is a Battlefield, and I wrote to her.
No.
I was like, I think we should get together because your stuff would sound so good with my backing tracks, and she said yes. So we're doing an EP, and that should go live pretty soon.
I did not know I needed this until right now. Unwoman Klingon Pop.
Yes. Yes, you need it. You definitely need it.
No, I need it. Like, I'm a huge Trekker. My boyfriend's a huge Trekker. Like, So do we get to know, like, other than Love is a Battlefield, do we get any ideas of what's going to be on there, or is that just...
It'll be listed in the Kickstarter. Actually, I can tell you, too. We did Hungry Like the Wolf.
Nice.
We did I Love Rock and Roll.
Okay.
We did Dream On. We did Time After Time, the Cyndi Lauper song. So a very sweet one. And there's one more, and I can't believe I've... No, that's it. I think I said 4, so that's 5 total. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's 5. Yeah.
I'm just imagining like a sweet song like Time After Time being sung in Klingon now.
It's actually very beautiful.
I believe you. So this is like like traditional Klingon, like from the Klingon dictionary, not that made up Brennan Braga can't actually understand his own language stuff then.
I mean, I don't speak Klingon, but it sounds like real Klingon to me, and she's got the translation and the back translation documents that I think people are going to get those from the Kickstarter too. So it seems like real. She's actually the Klingon translator for the Star Trek animated show, whose name
Is it Lower Decks or Prodigy?
Prodigy.
Prodigy, okay.
Yes. So she's actually the official Klingon translator for that. So she's not just some Yahoo.
Oh, wow. Man, this gets better every time you talk about it.
I know.
Which means now we need like an animated Unwoman Klingon, but
that would be amazing.
There is at least one artist watching this.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying there's at least one artist watching this, so.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love that. Jen is a great singer too, but I dream of doing a convention with her and, playing cello live while she sings in Klingon. It'd be so great.
Which I guess kind of brings up the question of like music in the time of COVID. I feel like every interview that I do has to involve this, unfortunately, right now. So you said that you hopefully have a live show coming up. Do you feel more apprehensive about this one than you have about previous live shows? Or are you just really excited, chomping at the bit?
I'm really excited. I'm definitely nervous about how I'm going to navigate all the COVID safety things. I feel pretty good about it. It's in about a month. It's in over a month from now. It's in San Francisco area. I'm not gonna. They haven't published it yet, so I'm not gonna announce what the event is.
Oh, of course, no.
But I've signed the contract. It's definitely happening. It's a convention. Everyone who's watching this, who's seen it, will figure out what I'm talking about. It's a local steampunk convention that I've played every single one of. I don't have to fly there, so if it gets canceled, it's sad, but it's not like a disaster.
Right.
I mean, my main worry is that it gets canceled at
Right.
this point. And I think people will be good about wearing masks. I think people will be happy to see me. I'm planning to do a whole thing where I get on stage, I take off my mask, I put lipstick on to like a 5-minute song so I have time to get ready. I put my mic on, because with the mask and everything beforehand, it's just gonna be hard. But you know what? People are gonna be so happy to see live music. And I'm gonna be so happy to see friends I haven't seen in a long time. There's gonna be a lot of side hugs. It's gonna be great. I'm excited.
So do you think that COVID has forever changed the way that we do music, or you think it's something we're just going to bounce back from, and once things have finally died down 5 years from now, you're not ever even going to know there was a dip?
Well, it's hard to see that this will ever end at this point.
True.
And I don't know, like, nobody knows if COVID's going to be really terrible for them until they get it. Fortunately, no one in my household, knock on wood, has caught it, and we're all like fully vaccinated at this point. And I definitely don't intend to catch it or spread it. I don't think any musicians intend to. But then when you start to like do multi-city tours, and if you go to states where people don't wear masks, there are a lot of situations where I don't see myself being excited to be in those situations in the future. I would love to be able to tour again, but I also kind of feel like I've been focusing on recordings for the last couple years, and I think I have a lot of strength in that realm. So part of me is like, well, I'll play shows when I can, and they're local, and I'll go see bands if they're playing an outside venue. And otherwise, I don't really want to commit to anything, because who knows how long this is going to go on. I can't predict 5 years from now, really.
That's fair. I mean, I can't predict 5 minutes from now, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's been 2 years at this point, and we're still, like, people are still really sick. There's still people dying, so it's hard to say. I know, it's terrible. It's hard to say. In another 2 years, maybe it'll be over, but I wouldn't estimate any less than that, certainly.
So have you thought about doing like, I know a lot of bands have done more like streaming shows, online shows. I know
I
that
did.
you do live performances for Patreon sometimes. Or
Yeah. No, I don't actually.
okay,
I could. I don't really like doing streaming shows.
okay,
I I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And if I'm gonna spend like a few hours setting up, a lot of hours practicing, a few hours setting up, trying to get the audio good, trying to look at people's comments, trying to play a show. I did my 40th birthday. I did streaming like all day basically, and I played a show, and then I chatted with people and played bad covers on the piano for a while, and it was fun. But compared to really hanging out with people in person, it's kind of sad for me.
that's fair.
Um,
So you feel like you've kind of lost that one aspect of the shows that you're really looking forward to getting back then.
Yeah, yeah. I really do miss that in-person energy.
There's not really that's one thing that I've noticed when DJing on Twitch is like I don't get to see other people dancing when I'm doing the mix shows, and like yeah, you don't really hear that audience respond. There's no clapping, there's no singing along, so I can imagine that.
Yeah, and for I have a huge amount of respect for DJs and performers who've managed to keep up like a regular thing, like once a week or even just once a month shows, and they always do it and they have an audience, and I really respect that. I just haven't been able to commit to that, and it doesn't really work for me.
I mean, and that's fine. The good news is you're churning out recordings.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you said that despite the fact that we're here to promote the On Your Feet Soldier and then this awesome Klingon album that I just now found out about, that you're already obsessing over new stuff that you're writing.
Yeah, I had this idea come to me last night, and I wrote a draft of a full song last night based on this idea, and I'm probably going to scrap most of the lyrics, and it's probably going to be another couple of weeks before it's done. But that loop has been in my head all day.
So there's definitely no end to the music coming out then.
No, and actually, I think when I'm feeling pressured to write a song, it's harder for me to come up with ideas. And since I did a song in January, I'm not behind, so now things can just kind of flow naturally. And if I keep up this momentum, I'll probably write a song a month this year, knock on wood. We'll see.
I mean, I have a ton of respect for any artist that can do that, because a lot goes. Do you ever have a song that doesn't take a long time, like it just like you said, just kind of poops out, or are most of your songs an undertaking of drafting and editing?
There's always a little bit of editing. In my youth, I was more likely to just crank out a song, and what would usually happen is I would write a whole song, and then I would end up scrapping one of the verses and replacing it with something better. But like the bones of it were still there. Over the last few years, I've had some bouts with writer's block, and I've had to get a little bit more intentional, and like really kind of force myself to write. And one thing that I've done lately is I take a lot of edibles, and I just write like 50 verses for something as I listen to it, and then there's like something good in there.
You just go back through it later.
Yeah, edit's over.
Wow. There are certain aspects of this conversation. I think the thing that I love about kind of the free-form rambling aspect of these interviews is that eventually an artist says one or two things that I was 100% not prepared for. So thank you for giving me several of those this evening.
Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome.
Well, was there anything else that you wanted to touch on while I still have you?
No, I don't think so. Thank you so much for this chance to talk to you. And I also wanted to say thank you so much for the review of my album last year. It was probably my like #1 professional highlight last year.
All right, I'm gonna start blushing, and I'm already very red naturally. So.
Okay. Cool. Excellent. Sorry, but thank you so much. Sincerely.
Yeah. No.
It's a whole lot. It means so much to know that anyone is actually paying attention to what I say. And once in a while, I feel like no one listens to the words I write, and so I can just say some total bullshit, like some really awful stuff, and no one's gonna call me on it. And now I have like you've given me a little check there, which is good.
Yeah. No. Now you know that at least I am gonna sit there and go,
Yes.
Now I have to make another video.
What did you mean by this thing?
That is just that's the benefits of being DJ thinks too much. But thank you. It's always a pleasure to play your music and have you here. So one more time for everybody, in case you missed it. So it's unwoman.bandcamp.com. And also Kickstarter, going to be coming out very soon. Do we have a title for that they can look up on Kickstarter?
If they look up Klingon Pop Warrior, they will find it. Or Unwoman.
Or Unwoman on Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's on my Kickstarter, but she is the primary artist for the thing. And the other thing I wanted to what was it? Oh, I also have a Patreon.
Yes.
Which I would love people to join. And that's where either the Bandcamp subscription or the Patreon, both of those places get the new stuff as I make them. And Pat, I will try to send you things as I make them as well.
Well, I appreciate that, but always, no pressure. But looking forward to new releases, and thank you again very much for joining us. And for those of you that are hanging out live, stick around for the after party. It'll be on in just a few minutes.
Bye. Thank you.